David Thoreau once famously said, "The world is a canvas for our imagination." For the Poet Laureate for the Big Bend region, that canvas is not limited with a frame, but is defined by her imagination. Mary Jane Ryals, poet, author, uses stories, words, photos, and sketches to share her world in Tallahassee with others. And sometimes something as simple as a walk in the woods can inspire that imagination.
Two birds overhead. Where are you coasting to, floating miracle?
A poet laureate is many things to many people. I began to think of being poet laureate as a service job. What you want to do is bring poetry to everyone and to allow them to understand it and not be afraid of it. The friend who said, "It's only this much of your life." We need a poet laureate like we need a drink of water. We need it for our souls. We need to hear the words that we all think about and maybe sometimes don't pull together different ideas on our own, but someone else does it for us and it helps us go, aha, this is what life is, or this is why I'm experiencing this. I think it's important for us to make sure we don't focus on just one thing like numbers or money, but that we remember to keep replenishing our souls with what the world is about. I believe it's a lot like music. We don't even really understand it. We don't understand why it's so important to us. And in fact, I think poetry is a combination of music and word, because it gives us a rhythm that we can hear, and it helps remind us of our physicalness, our sense of being in the world and where we are in the world. Social media has probably been an influence on my poetry. People have shorter attention spans and they want things succinct, and you realize also that people love the visual. It's the first thing that hits you is the visual, and it's important to have that sometimes in your work. And I love being in two genres. I didn't really think I was that good a photographer, and I'm not, but people like it for some reason. I have people, more and more people wanting to friend me all the time, and I really do think some of it is those short postings, because they're slightly different from most postings.
Thank you for coming out on a Friday night. We're all so looking forward to hearing from Mary Jane.
Readings are important because, in the first place, poetry was meant to be spoken aloud. A lot of the really old poetry was spoken aloud because people did not write and have any way of publishing things. It's still important because it's good for us to hear our own words aloud and make sure they're right.
The backbone of the city behind you, you head to the county where trees' torsos are lacy with bark.
My first book was a short story collection, and I was so glad for that because I got to find out which things worked and which didn't, because I was experimenting with a lot of different things, and I could tell what audiences liked and what they didn't particularly care for. And as a result, I wrote the novel that won the book award because I heard people listening to me. I could see it, I could feel it. Daddy was already drinking highballs with Lucky in the kitchen. He did a lot, cooked me pancakes, lectured me about homework, and taught me how to ride horses when Mama was sick. But he didn't know when I needed new socks, or how to get ointment and a Band-Aid when I got scraped, or how to ruffle my hair and give soft kisses on the head. What I miss most about Mama was her humming as she brushed my wild hair into shape and wrapped it into a French braid. Daddy never said that Mama had turned too selfish to get up, or making stuff up, sick, or too drugged out to cook even a poached egg. Sick, ha, she always felt sick. Headaches, earaches, arm aches, stomach aches, back aches. I started in poetry, and then I moved to fiction. There's a whole lot of cuss and spit in that first book of mine. It was experimental, and in fact, I did have a story in there about a big flood coming. It's on the St. Mark's River, and there's all these horrifying things in the flood that you see. It was kind of prescient because this was in the 90s, before we were all worried about this stuff. Set on the St. Mark's at that old cafe that was down there, Posey's, where people would sit around, you know, spit and grit people. They're salt of the earth. They say things, they're honest. I love them. My father's side of the family is spit and grit, so.
What he did primarily in his career was...
Another thing I'm working on that was sort of a surprise to me is this request to help with a project of women who are over 70 in our community who are truly notable people and have gotten no credit for it. One of the women is Charlene Capolini, who a lot of people know. She has done so much in this community. She came from Lake City as a kid to FSU, and she went on to teach school, and then she got into theater, and then she became a yogi, and now she's a yogi master, and she's 76, I think. And there are a lot of women like that who are over 70 and deserve to be honored in that way. One of the things I'm doing right now that I think is important, a literary field guide to not Southern Appalachia, but the Panhandle of Florida. So my friend Sue Cerulean and I are working on this project, and we do the scientific explanation of an animal, a North American beaver, for example, and then somebody writes a poem about the American beaver, and then we have often a sketch of the beaver. So it's a wonderful combination of science and poetry, which I just love. This is a very close to my heart project.
Also, so it's just this...
Where are you coasting to, floating miracle? Do you wish you were elegant as the clouds? No, probably simpler. Hunger. Between desire and hunger, we all live. I'm gonna post it. Poetry's been with us longer than we really imagine. It's been with us way before we were writing things down. And it's one of the oldest forms. It's one that if we will just open our hearts to it and not try to understand everything in it, we would be just fine. It would give us a lot of pleasure. There are a lot of poems I don't understand, but I love them anyway.